Let's proceed to the third chapter of the Omega Prime series. The description contains the link to the first 2 chapters if you haven't viewed it yet.
Liam stopped in his tracks, uncertain. He turned to Serena, who was watching him with wide eyes, her hand instinctively reaching for the nearest piece of equipment to scan the artifact's energy signature. "I feel it," he said, his voice almost a whisper. "But we can't turn back now." Liam crouched before the artifact, the pulsating light casting long shadows across his face. He reached out cautiously, his fingers brushing against the cool surface of the crystal. The instant his skin made contact, a surge of energy shot through him, and a vivid image flashed before his eyes: an ancient landscape, a world untouched by human hands. Towering structures made of the same stone as the temple they stood in now. And among them, the Vorkari, their forms silhouetted against a sky that was filled with unfamiliar stars. The vision was brief but powerful, leaving him breathless. He pulled his hand back quickly, startled by the intensity of the experience. "What the hell was that?" Marcus asked, his voice sharp, a tinge of concern in his tone. Liam stood, his mind racing as the vision began to fade from his consciousness. His hand tingled with the remnants of the connection. "I saw something, a glimpse of their past, maybe. This place isn't just a trial. It's a link, maybe a way to understand their history, their culture." Serena stepped forward, her voice filled with wonder. Could it be a form of communication, a shared experience? Liam nodded slowly. "It might be, but we don't have enough information to be sure." Before he could speak further, the Vorkari stepped closer, its glowing eyes fixed on him. "You have seen," it said, its voice deep and resonant. "You have felt the connection. Now, you must prove that you understand." Liam raised an eyebrow. "Understand what?" "The land," the Vorkari responded. "The bond between us and Omega Prime. The artifact does not just give knowledge, it gives the power to see what others cannot. The world is alive with stories. To stay, you must respect it." Liam's brow furrowed. He could sense the weight of the challenge that lay before them. This was more than simply proving they could coexist with the Vorkari. It was about understanding the very essence of Omega Prime itself. It was about acknowledging that this world was not a blank canvas for humanity to reshape, but a living entity with its own history, its own laws. "Then what do we do now?" Liam asked, his voice firm despite the uncertainty in his chest. The Vorkari gestured toward the stone temple behind it. "There's a place deep within the mountains, beyond the jungle. A sacred site. There, you will see the true heart of this world. Only by reaching it will you prove your worth." Serena's eyes widened. "A sacred site?" she asked, her scientific curiosity piqued. "What's there?" The Vorkari's glowing eyes dimmed for a moment, as if recalling something ancient and deeply personal. "A place of power," it said simply. "Only those who respect the planet may enter. The path is treacherous. If you succeed, you will have shown that you can live with us, not as conquerors, but as equals." Liam exchanged a quick look with Marcus and Serena. This wasn't going to be easy. They were being asked to understand an alien worldview, one that ran counter to everything humanity had ever known. But they had no choice. If they wanted to settle Omega Prime, they had to pass this test. "We'll go," Liam said firmly, his gaze never leaving the Vorkari. "Show us the way." Without another word, the Vorkari turned and began walking back toward the jungle, its long limbs effortlessly navigating the dense undergrowth. Serena followed closely behind, her scanning devices still buzzing with data, while Marcus and Liam brought up the rear. The atmosphere had shifted. They were no longer simply explorers, they were pilgrims on a journey to prove their place in the universe. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, the trees grew denser, and the air grew thick with the scent of alien flora. Strange creatures darted through the foliage, their eyes gleaming in the shadows, watching them as they passed. The path became increasingly difficult to navigate, the jungle resisting their every step. But they pressed on, determined to meet the challenge. The future of humanity on Omega Prime depended on it. The journey took longer than Liam had anticipated. The dense jungle, which had initially seemed so serene, quickly revealed its true nature. It was wild, untamed, and not at all hospitable to those unprepared for its dangers. Creatures some small and insect-like, others large and predatory lurked just beyond the reach of the group's vision. The air was thick, heavy with moisture, and the sounds of alien life echoed in the distance, making it clear that they were not alone on this planet. Liam had learned one thing during the trek. Omega Prime was not just beautiful. It was a world that demanded respect. As the day wore on, the landscape began to change. The jungle thinned, and the path they followed grew steeper, leading them into a range of jagged mountains. The air grew colder, the terrain rockier. The jungle's lush greens gave way to the harsh grays and browns of the mountainside. The higher they climbed, the more oppressive the environment became. Eventually, after what seemed like days of travel, they reached the foot of the mountain where the Vorkari had indicated the sacred site lay. A narrow, winding trail snaked its way up the jagged peaks, disappearing into the thick clouds that hovered around the mountaintops. "This is it," Serena said breathlessly, her eyes wide with awe as she gazed up at the towering cliffs before them. "The place they were talking about." Liam nodded, his eyes scanning the distant peaks. The air felt charged with energy. They had come this far, there was no turning back now. "We're ready," Liam said, taking a deep breath. "Let's see what lies ahead." The air thickened as the group ascended the mountain path, the sacred site now only a few miles away. The jagged peaks loomed overhead like silent sentinels, each step closer to the summit heavy with anticipation. But even as they neared their destination, a distant rumble shattered the silence low, menacing, and vibrating through the very earth beneath their feet. Liam stopped, narrowing his eyes. What was that? Before anyone could answer, the Vorkari, leading them with its long, purposeful strides, turned abruptly. Its glowing eyes, once serene, now widened with alarm. The shattering, it intoned, its voice steeped in ancient sorrow. "The time of destruction has come again." Serena and Marcus exchanged confused glances, but Liam felt the familiar tightening in his chest. He had a sinking feeling that the shattering was something the Vorkari had hoped to avoid. "Explain," Liam demanded, his voice low, the urgency rising within him. The Vorkari hesitated, as though the weight of its own history bore down on its words. "The shattering is the dark past of this world," it said, its tone heavy with the knowledge of countless lifetimes. "It is the violence that nearly destroyed us. The ones who came before. The Zeker," Marcus echoed, his brow furrowing. The name sounded familiar, whispers of hostile alien races from their mission briefing, but no concrete intel. "Who are they?" "They are a plague," the Vorkari growled, its voice rough with disdain. "They come from beyond the stars, their ships dark and filled with hatred. They once ravaged our lands, destroyed our cities, and left nothing but ruin in their wake. We thought them gone, but their shadow lingers." Liam's eyes scanned the horizon. His instinct screamed that this wasn't just another skirmish. This was an invasion. A sudden distortion in the sky interrupted his thoughts. At first, it was subtle and almost imperceptible bending of air. Then, from the clouds above, a dark, angular silhouette emerged, cutting through the mist. It was a ship unlike any Liam had ever seen, sleek, jagged, and ominously large. Its engines glowed with an unsettling, pulsing light, and the very air around it seemed to hum with malevolent energy. "We're too late," the Vorkari whispered, its voice thick with dread. "The Zeker have returned." Liam's mind kicked into overdrive. "Get to cover," he barked, his voice commanding. "We need to move now." Before they could react, a deafening roar split the sky, and a blinding flash of light struck the mountaintop. The Zeker ship unleashed a massive energy beam, and the earth beneath them shuddered violently. The shockwave sent them sprawling, the ground cracking open as debris rained down. Liam scrambled to his feet, his heart hammering. The air was thick with smoke, and the acrid scent of burning rock filled his nostrils. The Vorkari, already on its feet, stared at the destruction with an expression that mixed sorrow and fury. They seek to destroy the heart of Omega Prime, the Vorkari said, its voice cold as stone. They wish to erase us, to erase everything. Liam's fists clenched. This was no longer a simple mission. The Zekir had attacked the Vorkari before, but now they were tearing through the very heart of the planet. The fragile peace they had worked for was crumbling before their eyes. "We can't let them do this," Liam said through gritted teeth. "Not after everything we've been through." Serena's eyes widened, her scientific mind racing. "But how do we stop them? That ship is enormous, and their firepower." "We fight," Marcus interjected, already pulling his sidearm. "We've got Marines for a reason." Liam raised a hand, stopping him. "Not yet. We need intel. We can't just rush in blind." "We don't have time for intel," Marcus snapped, his eyes locked on the hovering ship above them. The Zekir ship released another volley of deadly beams, incinerating everything in their path. The forest below, the sacred site, it was all being reduced to ash. The Vorkari let out a guttural cry, a sound that tore through the air like a wounded animal. The sacred site, the heart of Omega Prime, is being desecrated. "We've already lost it," the Vorkari murmured, its glowing eyes dimming. "The Zekir want to strip us bare, to erase us from the face of this world. But they cannot understand. The land itself will fight back." Liam's mind whirled. This was more than an invasion. This was the planet itself under siege. If the Zekir succeeded, it wouldn't just be the Vorkari who suffered, it would be humanity's dreams of settling Omega Prime, of making this planet their home. "We need to unite with the Vorkari," Liam said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "You said the land fights back. How do we help?" The Vorkari's gaze grew distant, its eyes flickering with the weight of its people's ancient knowledge. "Only by returning to the roots of Omega Prime, to the heart of the planet, can we awaken the primal energy that slumbers beneath the surface. But know this, it is a power that demands a price." Liam nodded without hesitation. "Then we'll pay the price." Without another word, the group turned and began to make their way toward the sacred site, the shadows of the Zekir looming overhead. They had no choice but to press forward. The fate of Omega Prime, and humanity's future, was on the line.
Wow, looks like you are done with the third chapter. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe the channel for more videos like this.